breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
A motorcyclist seriously injured. We're going to take you to the aftermath of a crash that closed a road in North Raleigh for hours this morning.
And rain rolled through last night. That means we have a good recipe for fog out there. We'll be tracking that for you all morning.
And presenting the case, the first trial court hearing happening today that will help determine who wins an open seat on the North Carolina Supreme Court. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday. We made it to that final day after what felt like a pretty long week. Woke up this morning and neighborhood was like all in fog. It just, kind of surprised me. So just be aware of some patchy fog out there. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Levy. Yeah, I was driving from northern Raleigh and I was like, okay, nice and slow when you're out on the roads this morning. Visibility, I know that Elizabeth Garter's been having a track for that for us this morning. How's it looking so far, Elizabeth?
Well, it's pretty interesting because I saw fog too on my way in this morning, but we take a look at the sensors and there's not a lot of that technically showing up right there at RDU or really anywhere else for that matter right now. That doesn't mean that you're not going to run into some foggy conditions this morning, especially in some rural or low-lying areas. We take a live look at Cary this morning. Didn't see a lot of fog on the cameras, but definitely we'll see some cloud cover developing even if we don't see any fog. 58 is our temperature, so it's really warm stepping out the door this morning. Our temperature is mid-50s to mid-60s right now, and these temperatures are anywhere from 15 to 25 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. We'll see sunshine breaking out before lunchtime and a high temperature this afternoon around 70, but I'll show you why we get back into the 50s for highs for Saturday.
And you know what? Let's go ahead and take a live look outside right now at those foggy conditions that Elizabeth was just talking about. So what we have right in here is a live look at the roads in North Raleigh. This is from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. You can still see some foggy conditions that are there, so some areas might be clearing up a little faster than others. We'll be watching that closely as the morning develops.
Right now, police in Goldsboro are investigating a man's death. Officers responded to a home on South John Street after 7:30 last night. They found 65-year-old Donnell Hinton inside. EMS personnel pronounced him dead. Investigators are trying to learn more about what happened to him.
We are working to get more information about a person who was severely injured in a crash between a car and a motorcycle in North Raleigh. This happened on Falls of Neuse Road near Quail Ridge Road just before 11 o'clock last night. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there as police had the road shut down, and we are making calls to learn more about what caused the crash and the severity of the person's injuries.
Today, the first trial court hearing in the unresolved state Supreme Court election is happening in Wake County Superior Court. Democratic incumbent Justice Allison Riggs received 700 more votes than Republican challenger Jefferson Griffin back in November. Griffin sued, arguing more than 60,000 people who cast ballots in the race should not have been allowed to vote at all. Today's hearing will allow both sides to present their motions.
Today, we expect a ruling in a case that could affect the sentences of dozens of death row inmates in North Carolina. A judge in Johnston County is expected to issue a ruling today in the case of Hassan Bacote. He was convicted of murder in 2009 because a teenager was shot and killed during a robbery. He was sentenced to death row, and now his attorneys argue that racism tainted the trial. Governor Roy Cooper commuted Bacote's sentence on his last day in office. However, if the judge rules in Bacote's favor, it could bring the sentences of dozens of others into question. And that decision is expected at 10 o'clock this morning. And of course, WRAL will be inside the courtroom when that decision is issued. We will also live stream it on WRAL.com. Just make sure you tune into our newscast from 4 to 7:30 this evening for our total coverage.
Breaking news, a man is dead after a crash in Nash County. This happened just before 12:30 this morning on Highway 264, not far from the town of Bailey. Video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows a vehicle with damage to the side sitting near the tree line. Investigators say only one person was in the car. They say they do not believe the driver was impaired.
President Trump's executive action on diversity, equity, and inclusion is being felt within the UNC system. The system sent a memo to its network of universities and colleges. Any requirements for students to get a course credit related to DEI is now suspended. In a letter to the UNC Asheville community, the chancellor says, quote, any student enrolled currently in a spring 2025 course to satisfy a requirement related to diversity intensive courses may elect either to remain enrolled in the course or to withdraw from that course course, without penalty. The system is responding to an executive order from President Trump. It directs federal agencies to get rid of diversity programs. Last year, the UNC System Board of Governors scrapped its own DEI policy, and that led to about 59 job cuts and redirecting $17 million in funding.
This morning, we'll get our first indicator of how the U.S. job market is performing in 2025. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will release the January jobs report at 8:30. Economists expect it will show job gains remaining fairly solid. Jobs have gone up for 48 consecutive months. The economy added 2.2 million jobs in 2024.
Business experts will look into the economic effects of political uncertainty at a briefing this morning. Experts from Chapel Hill's Keenan Institute will discuss the impact of new policy from the Trump administration and where we might see the greatest effect. Researchers will also look at the morning's employment numbers coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the webinar starts at 9 a.m.
We're trying to learn more this morning about a crash that saw a car go off Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh and into a creek. This happened near the Wade Avenue exit around 11 last night. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as police searched the area around the car. Police have not said if anyone was injured or if any charges will be filed.
More than 100,000 people are starting to pour into New Orleans for the Super Bowl this Sunday. Right now, you're seeing a live look at the Caesars Superdome, and that's where the game will kick off in just 2 days. And just weeks after a terrorist attack that killed 14 people and injured dozens on Bourbon Street, city leaders say they are confident that people will be safe. Federal agents will circle above New Orleans and be along the Mississippi River. In the French Quarter, National Guardsmen will patrol on foot. In all, we're talking about nearly 3,000 law enforcement personnel will be spread out across the city.
Where the crowds are, where the crowds aren't, and if anything happens that changes that scenario, then they'll be able to identify that.
At the Superdome, canines will do a full sweep of the stands. And New Orleans police also say at night, key intersections leading to Bourbon Street will be barricaded.
Fox 50 is your home for Super Bowl Sunday. It starts at 11 in the morning with Road to the Super Bowl. At noon, the Madden Cruiser will go on a bayou adventure with Bill Belichick. Then at 1, the Super Bowl 59 pregame show starts. It all leads up to kickoff of the big game at 6:30.
Rocky Mount police are investigating a deadly shooting. Police responded to a shooting that was on North Glendale Drive around 3:30 yesterday afternoon. A 42-year-old man died at the scene, and a second man was also shot. He was taken to the hospital and is expected to recover. Police say that a series of shell casings were at the scene, and anyone with information is asked to reach the Rocky Mount Police Department.
A Raleigh man is accused of stalking women by using electronic tracking devices, including an Apple AirTag. Mawinde Bull was arrested last month. He's accused of tracking at least 3 different women without their consent in Cary and Durham. He's accused of putting an Apple AirTag on at least one of those women's car. We talked with the cybersecurity expert about how Apple is addressing the risks of being tracked unknowingly.
If they're a company that is actually focused on amazing technology, beautiful technology, but also privacy, then this is something they absolutely had to get right.
Apple added protective features after a class action lawsuit in 2022. That includes a notification sent to phones that are traveling with an item not registered to their account. It also released an app for Android users called Tracker Detect.
Dangerous flooding in California. A deputy wasted no time saving a woman trapped inside a car.
Are you in there? Where are you in the back?
Oh, it is intense, and we're going to show you more of the moments the deputy pulled the woman from the car as water rushed in.
Sports betting safety, how you can make sure your money is safe if you plan on betting on the Super Bowl this weekend.
You know what? Let's get you a live look outside right now at Apex. You can clearly see still a bit of a foggy start in some places this morning. But meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking that for us this morning, the visibility as well as your weekend temperatures.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
442, taking a live look at Dill Doppler 5000 radar. We had stars shining here in Raleigh just a little bit ago, but look down to the south, just a sprinkle that's moving out. That's the rest of a cold front that's moving across our area. Behind that cold front, we're actually going to be going to be pretty warm this afternoon, which is nice, but just a sprinkle in our southern counties for the next hour or so. And then once we get closer to lunchtime, that sunshine breaks out and it should be nice. We do have some fog that started to develop across the area. I did a little zoom in around Wilson. Wilson's showing up at about a quarter of a mile. We'll take a closer look at that coming up. But quarter of a mile is what we'd be looking at. It's a little damp in places. Durham, Raleigh, Fayetteville saw some showers. Temperatures are warm. Look at that, 64 in Fayetteville right now. Our temperatures could easily climb to around 70 this afternoon.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Dramatic body cam video shows a deputy in California saving a woman from a flooded car in the nick of time. The sheriff's office says the woman was driving to work on a rural road early Tuesday morning when she crashed into a flooded creek. The deputy broke the car's back window to help give the woman room to breathe. He then pulled her out and helped her get to safety. The sheriff's office says he rescued her not a moment too soon.
By the time he gets her out of the vehicle and onto the roadway, he turns around at the very end of that video. The vehicle is almost completely submerged.
At least 2 people have died in flooding in the Bay Area this week.
A mother accused of killing her adoptive children led to a closer WRAL investigation of critical failures in North Carolina's foster care system. It's the focus of our new WRAL documentary, Broken: Foster Care in North Carolina. Avante Devon is the mother accused of killing 2 of her 5 adopted children, Blake and London. And detectives say she had 9 different aliases.
Did the state fail these kids?
I think that they're county failings.
Someone needs to be held accountable because Avante Devon is not the only one at fault here.
The documentary also shows the problems and the lack of oversight in North Carolina's foster care system. You can watch Broken: Foster Care in North Carolina by scanning that QR code right there on your screen. You can even go to WRAL.com if you want to watch it that way.
Former Governor Roy Cooper is heading to Harvard. He's accepted a part-time teaching role at the university. Cooper says in a statement he is considering his political future, but in the meantime, he is working with aspiring public servants.
The Johnson County Board of Education selected Jeff Sullivan to replace former member Ronald Johnson. Sullivan served in the school system for more than 30 years as an assistant principal, teacher, and coach. He replaced Johnson, who was convicted of extortion and other crimes. The Wake County Animal Center will be closed today, and that's because some animals came down with an illness. The center says 3 dogs died from strep zoo. That is a respiratory infection. It will be closed for at least 30 days so they can contain that outbreak. Right now, nearly 300 animals are at the center. There will be no adoptions or surrenders while the facility is closed.
The former interpreter for Shohei Ohtani was sentenced to nearly 5 years behind bars for stealing money from the baseball star. A judge sentenced Ippei Mizuhara to 57 months, the length recommended by federal prosecutors. He must also pay $18 million in restitution. Mizuhara was fired last year after an investigation revealed he wired millions of dollars from Ohtani's account to pay off an illegal bookmaker. He was ordered to surrender to authorities to begin serving his sentence by March 24th.
We are counting down to Super Bowl 59. Just a few days to go until the big game. Americans are expected to wager a record $1.39 billion on the big game. Now, if you plan to bet on the game, experts say to use licensed, reputable sites. You can check ncgaming.gov for approved operators. Legitimate websites such as DraftKings and BetMGM display their licenses. WRAL's Keely Arthur talked with senior security architect Patrick McNeil, and he says you should be cautious about websites. AI makes it easier for scammers to create convincing fakes.
How do you know that you're on the right site?
In many cases, you can't tell. So instead of clicking the link that takes you to a site that looks legitimate, actually go to, NFL.com or, the betting site names directly.
Now, it can be hard to know if you have been scammed immediately. So one thing to keep in mind, watch out for your credit card transactions and your bank accounts. They can tip you off to suspicious patterns or purchases. Just remember, you can watch the Super Bowl on Fox 50 this Sunday. Kickoff is at 6:30.
A popular clothing store for people who love the outdoors has filed for bankruptcy. More than 100 Quicksilver, Billabong, and Volcom stores will close in the U.S. The brand sells apparel for skaters, surfers, and snowboarders. It saw a boost to business during the pandemic, but has struggled at its brick and mortar locations as online shopping has boomed.
Probably our big talker today. Yes, we have temperatures that are going to be nice for us, but the thing is, it's foggy in some places right now. Visibility is kind of spotty here and there, Elizabeth.
Yeah, it was really going to vary in what you see as you're heading out the door. Let's take a look at dual Doppler 5000 radar because there is just a tiny shower. We actually have our cold front moving across the area right now. So that's just kind of the last bit of the cold front that's sliding eastward just south of Clinton. So it's not affecting much of the viewing area, but definitely leaving behind, a good bit of moisture. Here's a look at that front moving across our area. And behind it, we're seeing some nice clearing. But there was some severe weather in the mountains. We're pretty fortunate as that front is crossing our area that we did not see that. And we're really, again, just looking at the tail end of it moving on by. So as we get through this morning, we'll see skies clearing. Before that, though, we're going to see some low cloud cover, some patchy fog, but definitely by the time we get to lunchtime, we're going to see some sunshine, and that will allow our temperatures to warm up nicely. This is a live look at Cary right now. We do have some cloud cover showing up. 58 is the temperature. It is really warm out there. 58 is actually warmer than our normal high this time of year. This time of year, when it changes so much, it's kind of hard to keep track of. Looking at quarter-mile visibility there in Wilson. Quarter-mile visibility is what we would expect if there's fog there. It's down to a mile now in Henderson, so we're kind of watching it fall in a few places. It's 2 miles in Smithfield, 5 miles in Raleigh, but we're not really seeing any issues in our southern counties, at least on these sensors. Our temperatures mid-50s to mid-60s right now, so it's really warm out there. Around town, 70 this afternoon in Raleigh, 68 in Durham, and 74 in Fayetteville. Tomorrow will be cooler again. We're about to go on that weather roller coaster. Chilly tomorrow with cloud cover, but beautiful for Super Bowl Sunday with temperatures in the mid-70s. You can see all the warmth for Sunday, but watch what happens as we get into next week. We see the blue shaded areas taking over, and look at all the rain. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all could be wet. I'll show you how much that could add up to.
Thanks, Elizabeth. The first American Idol in Sin City when tickets go on sale for Kelly Clarkson's newly announced Las Vegas residency.
Look at her, still going strong, plus making waves online. We're going to tell you about this teeny tiny crab getting a lot of love on the internet.
It is 4:53. You can see the cloudy skies over Cary Park, but those clouds will clear into some sunshine and we'll get up to 70 degrees. It's already warm right now. You won't need a coat, really. Upper 50s and even 60s in some places.
One of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen has died. Harry Stewart Jr. from Newport News, Virginia, was 100 years old. The decorated World War II pilot flew on 43 combat missions before retiring at Lieutenant Colonel in 1950. The Tuskegee Airmen were the black flying units of the Army Air Forces during World War II.
The stars of a new movie in theaters this weekend had never worked together before, but they already had a unique connection. They talked about it with David Daniel for today's Hollywood Minute.
You think this is a joke? We're in danger.
Okay, relax.
The stars of Love Hurts, Ariana DeBose and Ke Huy Quan, first connected on Hollywood's biggest stage. DeBose won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 2022 for West Side Story, so it fell to her to present the next year's Best Supporting Actor trophy, won by Quan for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
When she opened the Oscar envelope and announced my name with so much emotion, that really made a big impact on me. And we would see each other at various events, and I would always run up to her, give her a big hug, and say, "Ari, I would love to do a movie with you." So when this came and her name was mentioned, I immediately jumped up with joy and I said, "Oh my gosh, that's perfect! Come on, do whatever you can together to say yes."
I really admired Ke. I watched him through his awards season, and he put out real joy into the world. He had high hopes, but he was very supportive of the people around him and very happy to be in the moment that he was in. And that was very much the person that I met on set as well.
Now let's finish this together.
Love Hurts is now in theaters. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Check this out. This juvenile pink king crab is taking the internet by storm after making its debut on social media. NOAA scientists posted a video of the tiny creature after bringing it to the surface off the Gulf. The crab is seen standing in a person's hand, so it's barely the size of a knuckle. Scientists say the little crab was found when they were collecting samples of coral species they could raise in a lab.
I love that crab. I'm going to call it Dennis. I like it. So North Carolina will have some representation in the Westminster Dog Show in New York City this weekend. I want to introduce you to Xavier. This 5-year-old beagle is currently ranked the #1 beagle in the country. Xavier is from Lexington. His family says he is much more than a show dog. His owner was diagnosed with ALS and says that Xavier brought him joy during a very difficult time. You can watch the 12th Annual Masters Agility Championship Finals on Fox 50 starting at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Kelly Clarkson will be heading to Las Vegas for residency at Caesars Palace. The singer said in a statement, "We are bringing the studio to the stage this time with studio sessions. See y'all there." The residency will kick off July 4th. There will be 18 shows through mid-November, and tickets go on sale on Valentine's Day.
Time is 4:56. Debating the votes. The first trial court hearing happening today to determine who gets a seat on the North Carolina Supreme Court.
Crash on US 264. The crash, troopers say, killed a driver this morning around 12:30.
Plus, deadline approaching. How many USAID workers are expected to still be employed when layoffs go into effect at midnight?